We Three was another change of pace, and another stepping stone, like the logo stuff, where we were really trying to do. I'm saying we were really trying to do something different. Grant was really pushing me to do something different. He didn't know what exactly it was that he wanted, or he didn't know exactly how to describe it to me. But he wanted something that suggested dealing with slices of time, and you know, part of the idea was to do with the way animals see things, and part of the idea was just to make it visually something interesting and rich. Yeah, like this. Yeah, this one. You've got a truck driving. This woman's just left the shop. You've got a truck driving past. You actually saw the truck on the previous page through the shop door. Then you zoom in the back of the truck, which has been a recurring theme in We Three, where you're always just behind somebody's feet, or somebody's paws, or somebody's wheels. And then you do this thing that is easier done in comics than in movies, where you have this kind of cutaway, and we've got a kind of blueprint, X-ray type of treatment on the line work. And this is the animals that we'd seen in the previous scene now being taken away from the job they'd just done. And you've got the tech guys at the computers on the weird mezzanine floor above, and yeah, you've got a couple of guys in the foreground sitting against the invisible back doors of the truck. If you flick onto the next page, thanks. This, again, it was like that X-Men thing where I'm trying to suggest as much as possible, as simply as possible. The truck's driving along through the countryside. We've left the city now. It's all black borders through the whole comic. Silhouetted into the black borders, the leaves. We've got this kind of simple nod to manga with the leaves being stretched and the shadows being almost like speed lines, although it's on a grassy bank. So it is actually grassy shadows. But so you've got this suggestion of movement, and a wee flash of sunlight on the windscreen, as sometimes happens when a car drives by and you suddenly get a flash, and then it's kind of broken by that telegraph pole in the centre. And then you see, then all the leaves are stationary by the time you get to the right hand side of the frame, and that's where the truck's about to go on its journey. So you've got this really simple thing where time is moving from left to right across the page, but if you're not really interested in investing that much thought in it, and you shouldn't actually have to think about it, it's just a picture of a truck driving through the countryside because it's now left the city, and then it's arriving at a high security place. And again, it's that establishing shot, because the second frame is where they've arrived at, and it's got a sliding fence that's opened up. You can see on the second panel the little red bits either side. The truck's driving through, and there's a stripy barrier. And there's armed guards, and there's a watchtower and all the rest of it. And then, in the third panel, the barrier's nearly down, and you can just see ahead. You don't really see what it is, you just see that the van stopped, and soldiers and guys in lab coats have come out. And there's some sort of door area that they're about to go into, like it's built into a hillside or something. But again, done as simply as possible, like you're just seeing a bit of it. And then in the fourth panel, the stripy barrier's completely down and the gates are nearly shut. And
I like the implication in that third one that you're not meant to be in there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's sort of like, this is private.
Yeah, and you're kept out, rather than follow the truck in and see the guys in the lab coats and they're going to get taken inside.
And have a big sign that says top secret on the door.
Yeah, and see what kind of installation it is. It's all kind of like it's top secret, you're kept out. And anyway, so again, it's just that idea that I'm trying to suggest time, movement, and get as much information as possible, but it's really just but it's this kind of thing most of the X-Men fans would hate because it's really boring. It's just this really rigid looking page. But you know, these are the types of comics that I like to look at myself. So you know, it makes sense that this is the way I draw things out. So,
but this is the sort of thing that you think about, isn't it? I mean, this is the sort of thing that.
Stop at that one just for a second. I'll be really brief with this. This one, the first, again, you know, the first panel, like the last time it was cut with the leaves, and it was to suggest kind of fast movement at one side, slowing down. This panel's actually cut into three by a couple of tree trunks in the foreground, and again, we're far back, like we're hiding in the undergrowth, the way the animals are. They've escaped from this installation some bit later on in the story. And they're on the hillside looking about, they don't know what to do, but that first panel, when it's broken up into three, it's starting a new scene, and there's just it's almost like the first panel's 3 panels, and the first one's just this wee tiny slice, you know, and you're back outside, you've been inside an artificially lit concrete interior for ages, and now you're outside in the daylight, and then you see the 3 animals together in the centre section, and then on the right hand side you just have the wilderness, this unknown that they're going to go into. The second panel's got the dog and the rabbit together. The dog's like the oldest child in the family, it tries to kind of be a parent, and dogs are loyal and whatnot. The rabbit's just a kind of space cadet and just goes along with the other 2. And the cat, because cats are kind of independent and selfish and whatnot, it's actually cut into almost a separate panel again on its own, because it's actually not interested in what the other 2 are talking about. It's actually got its wee laser sight trained on a bird that's flying along, and we just follow the bird through the treetops in the first of those little small panels. Then it's underlit by a red laser, then it gets shot by the little scalpel things or nail gun type things that the cat fires out, and then we see from underneath the cat that it catches it, and then it's left holding this. It's like Who Killed Cock Robin. It's a wee bird with a wee, almost like a wee arrow in its heart, you know, which is actually a wee note in the last page, if you want to flick 2 pages ahead, I think. Again, just more of the same thing, and then the last page you've got that, and you've got it's not got the full black gutter all around it because it is a kind of splash page, but it's rooted in the blackness at the bottom, and like when you're in a forest, you know, it gets lighter as you go up. It's still got the trees and the same motifs that we were using for the rest of the scene, and they're going down into the undergrowth, and then in the sky you've got the birds flying away because the helicopters are out looking for them. So again, it was just a simple splash page of helicopters coming in the distance and the animals going away into the undergrowth, but you know, and you should just be able to look at it and know that's what it is. But if you wanted to spend a wee bit longer, you realise it's all the same kind of themes and designs and whatnot as had been going on before.